The epilogue, which I was honored to be asked to write, was very difficult. It's far too easy to paint every reign in black and white. Peter the Great was good, Paul I was bad, Alexander III was firm, and Nicholas II was weak. Every reign and every era have good and bad, and leaders are responsible for both. As humans, we want heroes and villains and a very clear picture, but in point of fact, Nicholas's reign provided both positive growth and negative actions. Under Nicholas, there were enormous strides in agriculture and in industrial production. There were huge economic leaps forward and enormous progress in health and education and social services. The evidence of this is very easy to find in census information and diplomatic annuals, and the fact that this has been ignored or considered unimportant in the face of the end of the reign is not surprising. But in fact, the education initiatives of Nicholas II were so successful, the Soviets kept them and built on them, later taking credit for the rise in literacy and education. It's not surprising that contemporary Russians are unaware of this. I myself was unaware of them until I went looking. Nicholas clearly felt that it was his sacred obligation to maintain the oaths that he took to preserve the fundamental laws, which included the autocracy. He was not, however, inured to the fact that times were changing rapidly, and he was, of course, forced to accept the fact that after 1905 he was no longer an autocrat. He was the first and only constitutional monarch of Russia. When any governmental system changes radically, there is a period of time of adjustment, and after 1905, many of the former rights of the sovereign were curtailed by the Constitution, and as a result, decisions were in the hands of the Duma and the Senate. In many cases, after 1905, there were no applicable governmental precedents that applied, and so Russia was forced to reinvent the wheel, as it were. I would say, however, that Nicholas retained the feeling that his consecration as emperor formed for him an inviolable contract with God and with the nation that he was born to rule. And as a result, the abdication was likely the most painful decision of his life. He was betrayed by those around him, and I don't think that it could be said that he stubbornly insisted on retaining monarchy for personal benefit. To historians and those outside of the Orthodox world, the answer is, of course it was a sign of weakness, to place his faith in providence and in a mystery rather than to attempt to achieve his goals through self-will. But to Orthodox Christians, however, to leave yourself in the hands of God and to turn your own will over to God is proof of an infinite strength. He faced the indignities of dethronement, imprisonment, and the death of a martyr with humble dignity and kindness and a great good humor which was noted by everyone, even those who mocked and ultimately murdered him. The same murderers he forgave and hoped that no one would seek retribution on his behalf, and there's a strength in that beyond human comprehension.